Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, and we're talking about favorite records again. And today we are talking about Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, released in May of '71. Okay. Marvin was born in Washington, D.C. on April 2nd, 1939. So he's 31 years old at this point. This is just a fantastic record. Marvin grew up his father was a Pentecostal preacher. He had a rough relationship with his father. His father was known to dress in women's clothing. He was at the same time a Pentecostal preacher who never praised his children. And really ultimately, unfortunately, Marvin never gained the love of his father, from his father. And Marvin lived a contradictory life where he had, his God here and his demons here. And because of his father, he wrestled with his own masculinity, in the sense that he always thought he had to prove himself, prove how much of a lover he was, prove how macho he was. Let's get into this. So in the late 50s, Marvin moves to Detroit, and by 1960 or 61 is working at Motown. He is friendly with Smokey Robinson and, of course, Berry Gordy. He ends up marrying Berry Gordy's 36-year-old sister. Berry Gordy is the founder of Motown, right, along with Smokey Robinson. She's 36, he's 21. And so he's in the family, literally. He's the brother-in-law of Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy's running a tight ship, similar to Marvin's father running a tight ship at home. Back then, you had songwriters who would give a song to a producer, who would work with an engineer, who would then give it to the artist and have the artist sing it. So it was, we're going to write this. The producer's going to figure out how it sounds. And Marvin does that and works in that environment. They have suits on. They're doing what, this is a black-run business in a time where black-run businesses aren't, mainstream in the culture. I mean, Motown ends up becoming bigger than almost anything in American music culture in the 60s. And again, it's run by Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson. So they want to keep an image, a clean image. They don't want to rock any boats with the music. What's Going On certainly ends up rocking some boats and changes and revolutionizes music because it's a protest album. It's a concept record too. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here too. Some of the themes and musical themes by the Funk Brothers and Jimmy Jamerson on bass, particular, the music just flows. Each song flows into each other, and it's just a beautiful record. Here's the inside of this. I can see Marvin there. Marvin has, done Ain't No Mountain High Enough. He has had a huge hit with Heard It Through the Grapevine. How Sweet It Is to Be in Love With You is one of his early hits. But he's ready to do something different. His brother Frankie goes off to Vietnam. And when Frankie comes back, our war veterans, we lost 67,000 men and women in Vietnam. And they went over there, and they were a band of brothers. Black men fighting with white men in our country. And they're a band of brothers over there, laying their lives on the line. And I want to thank the families and the soldiers themselves for every war that's fought in this country, for the commitment that you've made to all of us. And by the way, subscribe to my channel, like these videos. We do videos every single day. when these black men come back to the United States, when Frankie Gaye comes back, Marvin's brother, he's not accepted back into culture. He's just put his life on the line for his country. But when he gets back, he's back, in the inner city. And he's back with racial prejudice. He's back not being treated like a man. And that's what this album talks about too. Marvin's ready to give up the music business. Berry Gordy's not letting him produce. Berry Gordy certainly doesn't want him talking about protest songs. This album opens up with a song called What's Going On. It was written by one of the Four Tops, a guy named Obie Benson. Writes this song, and the Four Tops are scared to record it because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to rock the white establishment. And Marvin Gaye goes in the studio with the Funk Brothers, puts that song out, and it ends up being a single. Okay, so this song is written in like 69 by Benson, given to Marvin in 1970. And over the summer and fall, they cut a single. And by January of 71, they released that single, and it is a smash. So what does Berry Gordy say? Okay, Marvin, we're going to let you produce your own record. We're going to let you sing. We want more of this. So Berry Gordy's done a 360. Okay? He now wants a record, and this thing comes out, and it's a masterpiece. What's going on? Again, talking about police brutality. Just amazing. That segues into What's Happening, Brother, which is the next one. His brother telling him, war is hell, Can't find no work, can't find no jobs. Money is tighter than it's ever been. Beautifully sung with his phrasing, right? And all the layers of harmony vocals that he does himself. He's layering himself and multi-tracking himself. And it revolutionizes really, really singing. The music in the background it's almost like a light jazz. I've heard people say, does this album kind of invent smooth jazz? I don't know. It's certainly not Motown like we know Motown, right? Again, when will people start getting together again? And it's not just when will black people get together, when will white people get together, when will people get together in general? This record is not divided on racial lines. It talks about, racism, but it also talks about people working and being together, Just one of my favorite songs, What's Happening, Brother, straight into Flying High. What is he talking about here? Flying high in the friendly skies, which is an airline, commercial theme, right? But he's talking about drugs. He's talking about drugs in the inner city. Is he talking about his own drug use and his own cocaine use and alcohol abuse? Yes. Later in his career, they said he'd have a preacher on tour. Backstage, he'd have a preacher in one room and he'd have a cocaine dealer in the next room. He'd have the God over here and he'd have the devil over here. And he struggled with that his whole adult life, unfortunately. Flying High goes right into Save the Children. Who's willing to try to save a world that's destined to die? It's an amazing track, and then that goes into God is love. All that God is asking, Marvin says here, is that we give each other love. It's a beautiful thing to think about. It's a beautiful thing to think about, and I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to preach here. Nobody's messed up more than me. But God, what a concept of all that God is asking is that we give each other love. It's beautiful. Straight into Mercy, Mercy Me. Oh, mercy, mercy me. And this song is in parentheses, ecology. Again, we're talking about mercy, mercy me. Things ain't what they used to be, Radiation, on the ground and in the sky, fish full of mercury. It's just a beautiful song. Again, dealing with taking care of the earth. That goes into Right On. And now we're talking about the second side of this album. Marvin is preaching. Marvin has said that God wrote this album. That's a pretentious thing to say. he says that he was a conduit and God channeled through him the music. He says he does not remember writing some of these songs and recording. It has been said that there was a lot of weed and scotch in the studio, and Marvin was the daily pot smoker, weed smoker. But maybe he didn't remember writing some of this and recording some of this. Right On is great. Again, not talking about a particular group, talking about everybody getting along. If you can help, if you can help in your community, help in your community. We're here to do that. We're here to be the best version of ourselves and help one another if we can. Holy, Holy is the next song. Again, his father was a preacher that never accepted his own son. And unfortunately, the day before his 45th birthday, on April 1st, his father kills him, shoots him 3 times. First one piercing his heart. The second one going through his shoulder. His father was never able to have any pushback. And when Marvin broke up a fight that his father was having with his mother and physically confronted his father killed him with a gun that Marvin bought him. The last song on this record is Inner City Blues, talking about the ghetto, talking about the black reality, talking about Detroit. The riots in 67, the riots in 68. The government stealing people's money, the government taxing people, the government not taking care of their people, or maybe taking care of some people and not taking care of everybody. This is a 35-minute record, which if you watch my shows, I love the 35 to 45-minute length of a record because you can digest it and it's not too much music. This particular box set has a live record on it as well. There's Hitsville, USA. So Hitsville is where lots of recording, a lot of the early recording was all done here. All done in a house in Detroit. Marvin was an amazing guy. He sang the national anthem before Game 4 of the 1968 World Series between the Cardinals and the Tigers, which the Tigers won controversially because Lou Brock was safe at home in the Game 7, right? He also sang at the 1983 All-Star Game, sang the national anthem beautifully between the NBA All-Star Game. He was an icon. He was a leader. He was doing protest albums before Stevie Wonder was doing protest albums. He's not wearing the suit anymore for Berry Gordy. He's going to wear sweats, and he's going to grow a beard and change his look and change his image at the risk of alienating his audience. Again, check out this record, What's Going On. It's beautiful. Check out I Want You, the album. Check out Let's Get It On, of course, which is a great album. Check out my channel and subscribe. Hit the button, subscribe. Thank you for everybody that's subscribed, especially here recently. And peace out. See ya.